Have you ever felt that no matter how hard you try, some people still don't understand you? Or worse, they distort your true self just to fit their own perspective? This is how people with high self-esteem perceive the world. They don't see you, they only see a version of you that they've created. Imagine this: you're having a sincere conversation with someone, but instead of listening and understanding you, they react in a completely inappropriate way. They might twist your words, deny your experiences, or turn everything into a story about themselves. This isn't random, it's a characteristic of people with high self-esteem, and if you don't recognize it, you might get caught up in their emotional whirlpool. So why do they do this? What's going on in their minds? And how can you protect yourself from this manipulation? In today's lecture, we'll explore the truth about how people with high self-esteem perceive the world, with guidance from the thoughts of C.S. Lewis, one of the greatest thinkers of the 20th century. If you've ever faced toxic relationships, been misunderstood, or felt lost in how others perceive you, this lecture will help you find the answers. Let's dive deep into this issue right now. 2. What do people with high self-esteem see? Have you ever encountered someone who can be hurt by a single careless word? Have you ever seen someone get easily frustrated just because they weren't praised or given attention? Have you ever felt disrespected by someone, even though they might not have intended it? If the answer is yes, then it's very likely that you or someone you know is viewing the world through the lens of self-esteem. Today, let's explore. What do people with high self-esteem see? Why do they react this way? Are they causing harm to themselves? How can we overcome self-esteem and improve personal growth? Let's dive deep into this issue. 1. What do people with high self-esteem see? People with high self-esteem do not see the world as it is. They view it through a distorted lens, where a suggestion equals a personal attack. Unintentional actions equals an intentional attempt to demean them. The success of others equals their own failure. Not being noticed equals being disrespected. Let's look at a few specific situations. Situation 1. When receiving feedback or correction. Normal person: oh, I can make a few adjustments to improve it. Person with high self-esteem: why do they always criticize me? Do they look down on me? Christopher is an office employee. When his boss pointed out that his report had a few errors, instead of taking it as constructive feedback, Min felt offended and thought his boss was undermining him. He started avoiding his boss and working less effectively because he lost motivation. Key takeaway: feedback isn't an insult, it's an opportunity to improve. Situation 2. When being ignored or not invited to hang out. Normal person: they probably think I'm busy, so they didn't invite me. Person with high self-esteem: they intentionally left me out. They must hate me. Madison noticed that her friends went out without inviting her. Instead of asking them directly, she sulked, overthinking and thinking that they didn't value her. She began to distance herself from her friends, even though they just thought she was busy that day. Key takeaway: don't jump to conclusions without knowing the full story. Situation 3. When seeing others succeed. Normal person: I can learn from them. Person with high self-esteem: they must have been lucky, if I had the same opportunities, I'd be successful too. Michael saw a colleague getting promoted. Instead of recognizing the effort that colleague put in, Michael just thought they were lucky or had some kind of connection. Michael refused to learn from their experience and limited his own opportunities. Key takeaway: success comes from effort, not just luck or absolute fairness. Situation 4. When being rejected romantically. Normal person: maybe the person isn't ready or we're just not a good match. Person with high self-esteem: am I not good enough? They must be judging me. James liked a girl but was rejected. Instead of thinking that they simply weren't a good match, James felt insulted and embarrassed, and even began to dislike the girl. Key takeaway: romantic feelings are a choice, not a judgment of personal value. 2. Why do people easily get offended? Underlying causes. Lack of self-confidence: when we don't believe in our own value, We are more likely to interpret feedback as personal attacks. Past trauma. If we've been criticized or abandoned in the past, we tend to be more sensitive to similar situations. Social pressure. A desire to prove oneself and not accept failure can heighten sensitivity. Easily losing friends due to unreasonable sulking. Ineffective work performance because of an inability to take constructive criticism. Living in a constant state of frustration and dissatisfaction. Step 1. Identify your emotions. When you feel hurt, ask yourself, do they really have bad intentions? Am I overreacting? Could this be an opportunity for me to improve? Step 2. Shift your perspective. If your boss gives feedback, instead of thinking, my boss hates me, try thinking, my boss is helping me improve. If a friend forgets to invite you to hang out, instead of thinking, they hate me, think, maybe they think I'm busy. Step 3. Focus on yourself. Don't let others' words control your emotions. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not to others. Step 4. Build self-confidence. When you believe in your own value, you won't worry about what others think. Objectively acknowledge both your strengths and weaknesses. Learn to see things from a more objective perspective. Don't let pride hold you back. Focus on self-improvement rather than overanalyzing everything. Do you find yourself easily offended? Feel free to comment and share your thoughts. If you find this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more self-improvement content. 3. How to recognize a person with a sensitive ego. Have you ever felt that when communicating with someone, even a very mild comment or a small suggestion can trigger an extreme reaction from them? You might ask yourself, are they being overly sensitive, or is there something deeper going on with them? If you've experienced such situations, you're likely dealing with a person with a high sense of self-importance. Let's dive into this article to recognize the signs and find ways to effectively communicate with such individuals. 1. What is self-importance? Before we delve into the signs of a person with a sensitive ego, we need to define this concept clearly. Self-importance is a psychological state in which a person places excessive value on themselves, especially in situations where they feel insulted, criticized, or disrespected. People with self-importance are often easily hurt, even by minor remarks or unintentional words. They tend to protect their ego at all costs, even to the point of causing unnecessary conflict. Self-importance can also be related to a feeling of not being recognized, and when criticized, they often react strongly instead of accepting advice or finding ways to improve. This is a deep-seated psychological issue that many people face, and if you don't know how to recognize it, communication with them can become very tense. 2. Signs of a person with a sensitive ego. To recognize a person with a high sense of self-importance, you need to pay attention to the following signs. These signs may not be immediately obvious, but if you observe carefully, you'll notice them repeating in various communication situations. Overreaction to criticism. One of the clearest signs is that a person with a sensitive ego will react strongly to criticism, even if the feedback is gentle and constructive. They will not only feel sad or disappointed but may also become angry and even retaliate unreasonably. For example, you might say, "You could do this a little faster," but the person responds harshly, "You don't understand anything. Why are you criticizing me like that?" Evidence. According to research by psychologist Terry L. Foster, 2006, people with high self-importance tend to overreact to criticism because they feel their ego is being threatened. They are more likely to defend themselves strongly rather than accepting feedback to improve. Hard to accept mistakes. A person with a strong sense of pride rarely admits mistakes or acknowledges their shortcomings. Instead, they will try to blame others or external circumstances. For example, in a meeting, when a project doesn't achieve good results, they might say, "It's because the team didn't collaborate well," instead of taking responsibility for their part in the work. Proof. A study by Dr. Roy F. Baumeister shows that people with strong egos often find it difficult to admit mistakes because they fear losing face or emotional harm. This leads to excessive defensiveness and an inability to recognize flaws. always seeking recognition and praise. People with a strong sense of pride often have a high need for recognition from others. They easily feel neglected or undervalued if they don't receive praise, even if their achievements are not exceptional. For instance, in a meeting, if you praise someone for doing a good job, the proud person will likely feel a lack of recognition if they aren't praised in the same way. Proof: according to Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the need for esteem, recognition, and respect is one of the fundamental human needs. Individuals with strong pride constantly seek this recognition to bolster their self-esteem. Often feeling disrespected, people with strong pride can easily feel insulted, even by unintentional comments or actions. For example, if you don't give them enough attention or praise, they will feel disrespected and may react strongly. Proof: Dr. Paul Gilbert's research shows that people with strong pride are particularly sensitive to behaviors that make them feel overlooked or unappreciated. They are quick to feel hurt and often respond defensively. 3. The feelings you experience when communicating with a proud person. When communicating with a person who has a strong sense of pride, you may encounter uncomfortable feelings and situations. These feelings can help you recognize when you are dealing with someone with a strong ego. Feeling stifled during communication, you may feel like you always have to be careful with your words and actions, fearing that even a small comment or an unintentional remark could hurt their feelings. You won't be able to share your opinions freely without worrying about being misunderstood or provoking anger. Worrying about their reaction, you may feel anxious whenever you have to offer criticism or advice, as you don't know how they will react. This feeling might cause you to avoid important conversations or shy away from addressing necessary issues. 4. How to communicate with a proud person. To communicate effectively with a person who has a strong sense of pride, you need some strategies to avoid conflict and maintain a harmonious relationship. Here are some tips to help you communicate better with such a person. Choose your words carefully. When offering feedback or criticism, choose your words carefully to avoid offending them. Instead of direct criticism, you can offer gentle and constructive suggestions. For example, I think if we try this approach, the results might be better. Respect their emotions. Don't rush to criticize or say hurtful things when you feel dissatisfied with their actions. Try to understand their emotions and give feedback gently. Encourage improvement. Instead of just criticizing, focus on encouraging the person to improve and grow. You might ask, do you think there's another way we could work more effectively together? Let's look at a specific example to understand better. Suppose you are a team leader and need to provide feedback on a project done by one of your team members. If this person has a strong ego, they may react very strongly. For example, "I did my best, why are you criticizing me?" Instead of responding in this way, you can say, "I'm really impressed with the work you've done, but if we make a few adjustments, the result could be even better." Identifying and communicating with someone who has a high sense of self-esteem. Identifying and communicating with someone who has a high sense of self-esteem can be challenging, but if you understand the signs and know how to communicate tactfully, you can definitely maintain a good relationship. The key is to always maintain respect and understanding because all of us, at some point, may feel sensitive or prideful. 4. What do you need to do to protect yourself? In life, we will all inevitably encounter someone with a high sense of self-esteem. These individuals are easily offended by even the smallest things, and they may react strongly or even confront you aggressively. So how can you protect yourself when dealing with such people? In this video, we will explore ways to protect yourself, maintain respect, and avoid escalating conflict. Let's dive in. 1. Understand self-esteem and its negative effects. Self-esteem refers to the deep feeling of hurt that arises when a person feels disrespected, undervalued, or humiliated. People with high self-esteem may react excessively when they feel criticized, even if it's just a small remark or action. Evidence. According to psychological experts, individuals with high self-esteem often feel anxious and insecure in social situations. When they feel insulted, they tend to react strongly and cause conflicts, potentially damaging the relationships they have. A study published in Psychological Science revealed that people with high self-esteem often struggle to handle criticism without feeling hurt. This may lead to defensive or even aggressive behaviors. So why is understanding self-esteem important? Understanding this trait helps us handle situations involving people with high self-esteem more gently. When you recognize someone's sensitivity, you can adjust your behavior to avoid escalating the situation. 2. Stay calm and don't overreact. When dealing with a person who has a high sense of self-esteem, the most important thing is to stay calm. If you react with anger or pride, the situation will only get more tense, and both of you will end up in a pointless argument where no one wins. A study from the University of California shows that when we remain calm during tense conversations, the chances of resolving the issue increase, and relationships are more likely to remain intact. Conversely, when we let emotions drive our behavior, relationships can easily become strained. Let's say you have a coworker who always gets irritated when you give constructive feedback about their work. If you immediately react, both of you might end up in a conflict. However, if you stay calm and say, "I understand that you're uncomfortable with this, can we discuss this further?" the situation will ease, and you'll maintain respect toward them. Guidelines. Take deep breaths. If you feel your emotions rising, pause, take a deep breath, and count to 3. This will help you calm down and respond more thoughtfully. Identify your emotions. Before you say anything, ask yourself, am I reacting emotionally? If the answer is yes, it's a sign that you need to stay calm and rethink your response. 3. Set clear boundaries and respect yourself. If you don't want to get drawn into unnecessary arguments, setting clear boundaries is crucial. This doesn't mean you have to confront the person or refuse them, but rather make it known that you have the right to protect your own feelings and emotions. Psychologists suggest that establishing clear boundaries helps maintain respect in relationships, especially when dealing with people who have a high sense of self-esteem. By not allowing others to overpower your rights and emotions, you'll feel more confident and less vulnerable. If your friend or coworker always reacts strongly when you express a differing opinion, you can say, "I respect your viewpoint, but when we discuss, I'd like us to maintain mutual respect." This is a way to set boundaries gently yet firmly. Guidelines. Use assertive language. Learn to use phrases like, "I don't agree with you on this point, but I still respect you." This shows respect for the other person while also protecting your own viewpoint. Reevaluate the relationship. If someone continues to make you feel uncomfortable, you might need to reassess the relationship to avoid unnecessary stress. 4. Show respect but don't yield. One way to protect yourself is by showing respect for others' feelings without yielding too much. You don't have to agree with everything they say or do, but you can show them that you understand and respect their point of view. According to research from Stanford University, people who know how to show respect while maintaining their personal stance tend to maintain more harmonious relationships and reduce conflict. Showing respect without yielding allows you to uphold your values without harming others. If you and a friend have different views on an important issue, instead of arguing, you can say, "I understand how you feel, but I think everyone has their own perspective, and this doesn't change our friendship." 5. Seek support from others when necessary. If the situation becomes too tense and you feel you can't handle it alone, don't hesitate to seek support from those around you. This can help you resolve the issue fairly and reduce the stress. A study from the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships indicates that people who have support from friends and family in stressful situations are better able to cope with conflicts. They feel protected and are more likely to find reasonable solutions. Protecting yourself from a person with high self-esteem is not always easy, but if you know how to stay calm, set clear boundaries, and show respect without yielding too much, you will maintain respect and protect your emotions. I wish you strength and confidence in all situations. This video will help you gain more knowledge and skills to protect yourself in stressful situations with someone who has a high sense of pride.